Okay, team. So today's screencast is on sex-linked genes. We are going to be talking about the genetics behind sex and also associated genes with those chromosomes. So I think the first thing to do here is to throw up a karyotype of both a male and a female. So this will do. Okay. I don't know why this is in Chinese, the top, but that's okay. Okay, so here we have two karyotypes. Here is, as you can see, it says normal male, and here is normal female. By normal, we just mean wild type. They have no gross, not gross as in a yucky way, but gross as in like a big way, big chromosomal abnormalities. So these are relatively normal people. It sounds weird to say. Anyway, okay, but you get the point. They're wild type. This is a male, and we can tell because he has an X and Y chromosome, and this is a female, and we can tell because she has two X chromosomes. So that's different. That's what differentiates males from females. Now, if you take a closer look at the X and the Y chromosome, you'll notice that the X chromosome is big, and the Y chromosome, which is also a pair, is little. And that kind of also shows you, how's that thank you by saying this? Okay, the X chromosome is very big and encodes many genes. Because it's so long, it has a lot of DNA, and there are many genes on the chromosome. And the Y chromosome is very little, so maybe I should just say X here and Y. The Y chromosome is very little, and it only really has the genes for maleness. To give you a little bit of an idea of how necessary these chromosomes are, you can be a person that just has a single X chromosome. That's called Turner syndrome. But if you are a person with just a single Y chromosome and no X chromosome, you are not alive. That is inviable, not compatible with life. So the X chromosome is very important, and I don't want to downplay the importance of the Y chromosome. It is very important, but it doesn't have essential genes for life on it. It has genes that turn people into males. Okay, so that being said, I want to give you a little background on notation. So, you know, for all the crosses we've been doing, we picked one letter to signify a gene. Well, the X and Y chromosome we treat a little differently when we're doing pedigrees. So we call the X chromosome X, obviously, and the Y chromosome Y. But because the X chromosome carries so many genes on it, we do a sub something is when you do it down here. I don't know what it's called, a superscript. So you write like XE would be if we're talking about the genes for color blindness or not. XE would be wild type. Whereas, I'm going to actually move this down here, X superscript little e is going to be colorblind. So I hope you understand here again that the gene for one of the photoreceptors that's found in the eye is on the X chromosome. So if you are X big E right here, then you have the photoreceptor, and if you are X little e, then you don't have the photoreceptor. The Y chromosome doesn't have this gene at all. Okay, so just Y. Just maleness. No eyes. I hope you understand what that means. Okay, so these are all our potential combinations. One second. Hey team, sorry, I just paused the recording because an advisor came in to talk to me, and I don't really remember where I was, but just looking at this. Okay, so here are all of our different chromosomal types. We have wild type, colorblind, and then the Y chromosome. So let's pick two people to cross. Okay, so obviously to make a baby, you need someone who is male and someone who's female. So if we have a female that looks like this times a male that looks like this, then the female is unaffected and the male is affected. Now, often people say that sex-linked traits affect men more than women, and that's not really true. The difference is that men only have one X chromosome. So if they have the disease allele, then it shows, even if it's recessive, because the Y chromosome can't provide a wild type or unaffected allele. So this man, even though he only has one X chromosome, it's little e, and so he is affected by color blindness, whereas this woman is unaffected and she has two big E's. Okay, so if we cross these people together, then we get a Punnett square, per usual, xe, x big E, x little e, xy. And our offspring are x big E, x little e, x big E, x little e, x big E, y, x big E, y. Okay, so I'm going to be completely stereotypical here, and I'm going to color in a blue dot because these are our boys, and this is so terrible. A pink dot because these are our girls. Okay, so now if we look at these people, you can see that no one here is affected because these girls, although they carry a copy of the little e, the colorblind gene, they also have a good or wild type copy of the allele. So they are not colorblind. And the boys, they both got a big E copy of the gene from their mom. So they do not have colorblindness either. They had to receive the Y chromosome from their father because if they received this X chromosome, then they would have been girls. But they're not. They're boys, so they received the Y. Okay, so you can see here there are no affected children. No affected children. Okay, but let's look at a different case now. Suppose neither of the parents are colorblind, but the mom is heterozygous. So the mom is X big E, X little e. She doesn't have the phenotype. She has color vision, but she's carrying one recessive allele. And the father is also unaffected. He's X big E, XY. Let's look at what happens to these children. Set up our Punnett square as well. So, the first is X big E, X big E. She's homozygous dominant. X big E, Y. X big E, X little e, X little e, Y. So again, these are our boys, and these are our girls. You can see that we have one girl here who's homozygous dominant, one girl here who is heterozygous but still has the dominant phenotype, which is normal vision, one boy who has normal color vision, and another boy who is affected. So here there is a 25% chance that there will be an affected child. And, 25% chance of an affected child. if there is an affected child, there's an 100% chance that it's going to be a boy. Because if you look here at this crosses, note that none of the girls have the phenotype, only the boys. So there's a 25% chance of an affected child, and then if there is a affected child, it will definitely be a boy. But for boys, there's a 50% chance of being an affected boy. So I guess you could say it this way. If you are a boy, there's a 50% chance that you will be affected, right? Because we have one boy here who's not affected and one who isn't. And remember, this is all chances, probabilities. So, but if you are affected, you will definitely be a boy, because this affected child is always a boy. Okay, so now we've got 2 cases here. Let's look at one more case, where what are we looking at? Oh, a mother that is homozygous recessive times a father that is unaffected. So, again, we have our Punnett square, x big E, y, x little e, x little e. So here again we have our affected mother and our unaffected father. So we do this out, x big E, x little e, x big E, x little e, x big E, little e, y, x little e, y. Okay, again, we have our boys here, and we have our girls here. So now you can see pretty clearly that all the girls will have normal wild-type vision, and all the boys will have color blindness. This is because, remember, boys are receiving their X chromosome from their mother, and because both the mother's X chromosomes are affected, they're going to get the affected allele. The girls get an unaffected copy of the X chromosome from their father, so neither of them are affected. The boys have to receive the Y chromosome from their father. If they received this X chromosome, then they would no longer be boys, they would be girls. So all the boys here are affected because the mother only has an affected X chromosome to give. So 50% of children D-R-E-N affected, 100% boys affected. Okay, so looking at our 3 cases here, we do not have a single girl that has been affected. So let's do one more case so you can see what it takes to create a girl that is affected. So if we have a mother who is unaffected, but she's heterozygous, times a father who is affected, then here are the children that we will see. Again, we have our boys here, and we have our girls here. So, as you can see here, again, we have 50% of the children affected. Both of these children are affected. Both of these children are unaffected because they both have a good copy or a wild-type copy of the X chromosome. So in order to be an affected girl, you need to have a father who is affected, and you need to have a mother who has at least one copy of the X chromosome affected. So if you either had an affected mother, which would be X little e, or you had a heterozygous mother, and an affected father, then you can be affected girl. Okay, so I hope this helps make clear how sex-linked inheritance works. And if you have any questions about the notation or anything else about sex-linked genes, we will talk about it on Monday. Okay.